Greetings and salutations, everybody. Well, by semi-kinda-sorta popular demand, I'm going to be starting a full playthrough of Dark Souls 3. I've gotten a few requests at this point, and finally to where I've beaten it a few times, and I feel like I can make it through without really missing anything. So that means we're going to be doing all bosses, all areas, all NPC quests, that kind of thing. Should be fun. More or less just going to hop right in, but I wanted to go over just a couple things first. I'm going to be starting as Deprived, for literally no other reason than just to mix it up. I almost always will start as Knight, just because I feel like the starting stats and equipment are probably the best among the starting classes, at least in my opinion. But everybody starts as Knight, so yeah, we're going Deprived. It should be something. As far as the burial gift is concerned, it doesn't really matter. I've been going with rusted gold coins just because if we look at the other stuff, you can get most of this pretty early on and pretty easily. And these not so much. And if I need to farm for items or something, it might be helpful. These are some of the faces that I made with the character customization, which, by the way, I'm actually really happy with this time around. I'd say it's probably the best that we've gotten in one of these games. You look at the default faces and they're kind of scary, but when you really get down to it, you can create some pretty cool looking, pretty diverse characters, so consider me a fan. As far as which one we're going to be using, I have not used this face yet for a character, so yeah, why not? And then, yeah, perfect. Well, maybe that would be better, huh? Okay, let's do it. Okay, so here's how things are going to go down, at least in this early episode. I'm going to be making my way through at a little bit more rapid of a pace than I typically would. Really for no other reason than just because I have quite a bit I want to accomplish in this first one. So we're going to get through the tutorial area, that's a given, but I also want to clear the entire first area of the game as well, just so that we can sort of get on with it after that. Now, we're still going to be getting all the items and everything, but stuff like NPC dialogue and that sort of thing is probably going to have to wait till next time. The plan is to keep these episodes within the 30 to 35 minute range. And I think that's doable. I think that's also long enough that I can actually accomplish a good deal per episode, but short enough that it doesn't get super tiring. But as always, I'm always open to feedback regarding that. It's worth noting that these episodes are not going to take the same format as my Dark Souls 1 playthroughs, where I sort of condense everything down. Since we're going for more like a, not necessarily 100% playthrough, but like a comprehensive style playthrough, I think it makes more sense not to really edit down so much. So you're going to be seeing everything unabridged and uncut, for the most part. Well, I mean, we're doing okay so far, considering I have this worthless club. Wow, that's good camera. This does happen. Ooh. As far as my general opinion on this game, however, it is almost entirely positive. Dark Souls 1 is always going to be my favorite, and I still think it's the best one, quite honestly. But you can make a case for this one. In fact, there are mechanics and design decisions that are better in this one than in Dark Souls 1. And in fact, pretty much everything is better than in Dark Souls 2. Which is to be expected. I like Dark Souls 2 fine. I mean, I put a bunch of hours into it, but I really do think it's going to be remembered as the Devil May Cry 2 of this particular franchise. And I think that's fair. But for the most part, they really got most everything right, with the exception of one, I'd say one mechanic, which is just baffling why they thought it would be a good idea. If you follow the community or have played this, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about right now. But we'll get into that later. Specific mechanics and that sort of thing can come later. For now, just know that I do think this game's pretty great, and the flaws that it does have are not game-breaking. They don't make it unplayable or anything. Nothing as stupid as, like, soul memory or adaptability, although close. Basically, the short version is, if you liked any of the other games, I think this one is going to be worth the price of admission for you. Wow, so many drops today. I'm on a lucky streak, apparently. Go ahead and get those on the bar. I'm going to need those later. Okay. So one of the things that I quite like in this game would have to be the boss battles. In fact, I think I like every single boss fight in this game, which is not something I could necessarily say for the other two. Or 3, technically. 4, technically, maybe? I don't know. Regardless, I like all the bosses in this one. They're all different, they're all unique, and they're all fun, in my opinion. We got our first one here. I'm now remembering that the shield cannot parry, so this boss fight is going to be a little bit more annoying than it normally would. Which is fine, I suppose. Like, normally you would just parry that, but not today. I think it's one more hit to stagger, but I'm going to play it safe. Yeah. So one of the things that makes these boss fights interesting is that they all have sort of a phase 2. So sometimes, like this, the boss will actually transform. Sometimes the boss just gets a new moveset. Sometimes even the arena can change. And it's stuff like that that kind of keeps you on your toes. It means that even when you've, played the boss multiple times, you still have to kind of mix up your techniques as you play. Anyways, take a seat. So I like that. And actually, while we're on that topic, I don't think there's a single boss, enemy, or even area in this game that I look at and go, ugh, that makes the game not fun. Which again is not something I could say about Dark Souls 1 and 2. So put in those terms, I would say this game does not have its own Bed of Chaos, nor does it have its own Shrine of Amana, so that's nice. Certainly happy about that. Okay, let's get the Homeward Bone on the bar there. Good. Well, all things considered, it's going alright so far. I did take a hit. That's not great, but oh well. We're going to go up here and take on the Swordmaster, just for completion's sake. Swordmaster is what many call the real first boss of the game, however, I'm going to politely disagree. In fact, his worst enemy is gravity, and is easily dispatched if you just do this. Sometimes it goes smoother than that, but, well, got the job done. And then if we want his drops, we just quit and reload. Okay. So, first of all, yeah, that's our Uchigatana. Right at the beginning of the game. We're not going to use it in this run, but it is as good as you would expect. More importantly, clothing. Kinda. Well, better than nothing, I suppose. And actually, this is going to be an upgrade too. Alright. It's kind of sad when you look at those stats and you get excited by it, but you know what? This shield can parry, so I will take it. Now, the Uchigatana is one of probably 3 weapons, I would say, that qualify as your starter / early game weapon. Not to say that you can't use these weapons later in the game, but they are basically just very good weapons you can get early on. For this particular run, I'm not going dex. I think I'm probably going to go quality, which is basically strength and dex about even. So I'd have to pump too many points into dex to really get any good mileage out of that weapon. So I'm going to be using something else. But the Uchigatana and then 2 other weapons, which we'll actually see this time, are probably your best starter weapons. Alright, really quick, I recommend you come up here and do this very easy jump that, of course, I am not going to be able to do. Because it's so easy. I just want to demonstrate how easy it is to... Yes, this is great. Were this a speed run, this is where I would be saying, rip earn. I'm serious, this is like super easy. You just run up the tree and then jump off at an angle, but oh dear. There we go. Alright, it is worth your time to come up here because you get early access to a few things that you wouldn't necessarily get until later. First of all, this is our crow. And I've got a few things I can drop, actually. The Firebomb, Homeward Bone, and Sacred Chime. Yes, those are those iron bracelets, and we will be getting the rest of the set. We got an Estus Shard here. Always good. But the real reason I come up here is for this little wonder. Serpent Ring works exactly as you would expect. It is additional kills, or rather additional souls per kill. And you cannot say no to that. Okay, we will not do any dialogue yet, but this is our Firekeeper. She is adorable, and if you gesture to her, you'll actually gesture back this time around. Like I said, adorable. Perhaps you've seen her, maybe in a dream. And the big man himself, Mr. Andre. He is our Estus guy, in addition to being our equipment guy. Perfect. One thing that you'll find is that this game kind of goes just full fan service mode with including things from Dark Souls 1 and 2, especially Dark Souls 1. Almost to the point where it's a weakness, where you're like, couldn't you have created your own lore instead? But you know what? It still is pretty cool seeing all these returning equipment sets, weapons, and even characters. Regardless, into the first area we go. And we make our way into our first real area. This is the High Wall of Lothric. Now, one thing I quite like in this game, in comparison with Dark Souls 2, and I may or may not end up saying that a lot in this run, but I very much like the way the levels are put together, or the areas, I guess you would call them. And not only in terms of, like, gameplay design and flow and that sort of thing, but actually in terms of how the areas connect to each other. One thing that was very nice in the first Dark Souls was how you could be in an earlier area of the game and you could actually look out and see a later area, or vice versa. Basically, you just see these different areas that you either were going to or had been to, and it just kind of made the world feel more interconnected, more interesting. The easiest example I can think of would be in Tomb of the Giants. You can look down, you can see Ash Lake, you can see the demon ruins, that sort of thing. Or even like Undead Bird, you can look up and see the walls of Anor Londo. Now we compare this to Dark Souls 2. They didn't really do this so much in that one. And the easiest example I can think of for that one would be Earthen Peak. You go into a tower. Presumably at the top of this tower, you fight a boss. After killing the boss, you climb into an elevator, and it takes you to a castle surrounded by lava. Oh, that's a good drop. That being Iron Keep. And you sit there and wonder to yourself, so was this lava and this tower, like castle, were they all just sort of floating in the sky and I couldn't see them? And while it is a small thing, I mean, it doesn't affect gameplay in any way, it just made the game more fun, in my opinion, because it made everything just more interconnected, and actually exploring and looking at your surroundings just more rewarding. That's just me. The longsword is actually better than this stupid club, so yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, if we look at this game, I read it in an interview, I think it was in an interview, that the design philosophy was if you can see it, you should be able to go there. So you see that up there? Yep, we're going to go there. That chapel-looking area down there? Yeah, we're going there as well. And then off in the distance there, you see that? Yep, we're going to go there. And especially on your first run through the game, it makes it a lot more rewarding to kind of look around and go, oh, am I going to be going there later? Maybe. By the way, the reason I'm killing these guys is because they do have a chance to drop Titanite shards, as we saw a moment ago. And although those are not horribly difficult to come by, it is a good idea to get quite a few early game. Because it takes a little bit before you can start gathering them in bulk. These are our binoculars. Unfortunately, you can no longer walk while you have the binoculars equipped, which means that doing binocular runs is probably not going to be a thing anymore. Okay, hold on. I can only imagine what this sign says. Have an applause. Wow, the sword is so much better than that stupid club. It doesn't actually matter that much because I was planning to switch out the club in just a couple minutes anyway. Yes, give me all your fire bombs. We're going to go ahead and get starter weapon number 2. And that's the one I'm going to be using this time. And then, although I'll be grabbing starter weapon number 3 this time, I won't be using that until next episode. Okay, so in order to get this item that I'm talking about, we're going to actually run over here. Whoops. Got our dragon up there. This is not entirely unexpected from a Souls game. I could go get those items. I don't really need them. I'm going to take damage from the fire anyway, so nah. The claymore is there, the club, which I already have, and then whatever that other guy dropped, but perhaps later. Alright, so our item is right here. However, yeah, there are a lot of mimics in this game. In fact, I think there are more than in Dark Souls 1 and 2 combined. In fact, I'm positive there are. So if you see a chest, it's probably a good idea to smack it with a sword before you try opening it. No, that almost got me there. Obviously getting grabbed by this thing is a death sentence, so I want to avoid that. Okay, so starter weapon number 2. That would be the Deep Battle Axe. I think that I can two-hand this, hopefully. Yes, good. So the Deep Infusion is sort of a cross between the Dark Infusion and the Raw Infusion. So it deals dark damage, however it has no scaling. So you're looking at high base damage, but of course no scaling. Meaning that early game... Oh, that was good. Early game, this thing is going to be very, very powerful, and then it's going to drop off. So for my purposes right now, it's actually perfect. There we go, that's what I meant to do. In fact, that is a one-shot on these guys. Oh, look at that. Alright, so our first bonfire, well, second bonfire I guess is here. And we shall keep on trucking. The boss is pretty close, but I've got some more items to gather before we do that. Ah, I knew he was going to do that. I'll go ahead and kill this guy one more time, just see if I get lucky again. Nope, not this time. You can actually sort of step back from the first strike to not have to eat that. You get the parry, but whatever. Or granted, I mean, you can always parry the first hit, but it's much easier to parry the second. I gotta say, though, I'm getting quite a few drops. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, this is where I need firebombs. If you do enjoy living, I would recommend using the firebombs here. I do enjoy living, so yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. Oh dear. I should have done one more firebomb, actually. Oh well, we're fine. So, worth killing that thing, because the first time you kill it, you're guaranteed both of these items. So, do it. One thing that I definitely approve of is that they've made it so you can actually get the lizards reliably again. Because, ugh, was that a pain in Dark Souls 2. Give me all the firebombs, actually. That's perfect, because there's actually a room coming up where I can use those. Whoops. Oh, cool, it's a one-shot on these guys. And Deserter Trousers, I think, is technically an upgrade. Let's take a look. Yeah. Okay, trading with that, probably not a good idea. One thing that you'll find is that these enemies with the big shields are very, very happy to sort of smack you in the face with the shield. So just sort of kiting around with your shield up doesn't work nearly as well as you might expect. You've got to be a little bit more light on your feet when going against those guys. Alright, so starter weapon number 3 is down here. I'm gonna get it. What the... That's dark. So I'm gonna get it this time. I'm not gonna start actually using it until next time. I can't say I've ever seen that before. I don't know what was going on there. I don't break my explosive barrels. I need those to do that. Alright. Perfect. are we going? Okay, fine, I'll just grab this then. There's a very strange glitch with these dogs where they will literally teleport. And I don't know why it happens, and I don't know why it hasn't been patched out, but if you run away from them, they'll actually teleport, and oftentimes literally fall on your head. It is very strange. Alright, well, that went pretty smoothly. All things considered. I got the key, I got the shard. That's pretty much what I need from here, so let's go up and grab that weapon. I actually missed this weapon my first time through. It's not hidden, like, super well or anything, but... right here. That would be the Astora Straight Sword. Now, the thing about this weapon is that if we take a look at it... first of all, I can't use it quite yet. I need 2 faith, which is not a big deal. You'll notice the scaling is really bad, but the base damage is pretty high, which means that actually, if you're using this early game, the best way to go is to throw the raw infusion on it, and your damage is going to go through the roof. And that is definitely what I'm going to be doing next time. But for now, I don't have the time to do that, so I'll just crunch this dude with the axe. Oh no. That's not exactly how I wanted it to go. No drop? Okay. You'll notice the game gives you a fair amount of embers. Like, I got 7 already. And the embers are basically the human effigy of this game. It doesn't work exactly the same, but it's close enough. Alright, our boss is coming up pretty quick here. A couple more items and 1 shortcut to open. Alright. Nope. I didn't mean to do that. Well, that could have gone smoother. I'm going to be out of flasks here, which isn't really a problem. Like, I don't need any flasks to kill the boss, I guess. And there's actually a mechanic that might kick in that will save me some trouble, which we'll get into if it does kick in. Okay, that takes us back to the start. I pretty much always run from the other bonfire, though, so that's pretty much useless for my purposes, but oh well. Alright, now if you are planning to get through here and you've taken a lot of damage, you can always summon this dude. He's an NPC. He'll help you clear these knights. And of course, you want to pull them one at a time, not 2 at a time. Can you get over here, please? He just does not care. I just really don't want 2 of them. Ah. See what I mean? Like, his shield bash is actually quicker on the draw than my axe swing is. You'll notice he also does that when I get behind him. Alright, this one should be easy enough. Aye. Alright, there we go. So you'll notice I just got a flask back. Now, to my knowledge, no one has completely figured out how this works yet, but it might have been that somebody has figured it out by now, but basically the way I understand it is it works similar to how humanity, or liquid humanity specifically, worked in Dark Souls 1, where as you're going through the area, you basically get points, and you don't see any of these points, they're all in the back end, but every enemy that you kill gives you credit towards an extra liquid humanity, or in this case an extra flask. And when you hit that threshold, you are given the flask. Some could say maybe it makes the game too easy. I don't know, it's a convenience thing for me. It means that you don't have to continually just run back to the bonfire over and over. Okay, free attacks for me. And that means I win. Refined Gem is a guaranteed drop from him, if you were curious. Alright. Now, I would say on the whole, this game is a little bit more linear than 1 and 2. But there are a few exceptions to that. In fact, in this room, without spoiling it, there is something you can do that lets you skip a huge part of the early game and get to a later area very early. Although, admittedly, you do have to go back and do those early areas later. We're not going to do that this time, but if I do additional runs of this game, which I could see myself doing, we will undoubtedly do that in one of those. Whoops. Okay. Like I said, I don't need flasks to kill this boss, so whatever. It's not that big a deal. Oh, that's actually an upgrade too. Cool. And now that I have that, maybe this will look... Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's do it. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by telling you this is a boss room. I love how because of her face, she actually just looks irritated, like, you know, I'm trying to open this door and you're doing this right now? Really? Okay, so this is Vort. He is a fairly typical early game Souls boss. Most of his attacks can be easily avoided just by standing under him. In fact, he only really has one thing that you have to be aware of, and that is when he goes into Phase 2, which, as per usual, is going to occur around the 50% health mark. That would be this little dash attack that he does. Just get ready to roll 3 times. There we go. And then when he goes into this thing, you basically won. Because he just does that for so long. Frostbite, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Okay then. That wasn't too bad. And that is the first area basically 100%ed. I know we missed a couple items back near the dragon, but whatever. Let's raise our banner to the sky, see one more group of old friends, and then we will call it. See, I told you guys we'd be going down there. Oh, it's you. Now I'm going to pose a question to you guys. Why are there 3 if we only needed 2 to fly me across here? I mean, it's not like they needed a guide. It's pretty obvious where we have to go, so... Oh well. At least he's got his little spear. And here we are. Wouldn't it have been awesome if actually it had transitioned out of the cutscene into that without fading to black? That would have been awesome. But regardless, here we are. Cleared the first area, and we will be heading on down there next time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first one. We're going to be doing a similar format, although things are going to be a little bit more laid back following this first episode, where I really, like I said, just wanted to get through that first area. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And do I have to do the cheesy thing that everybody does? Bye-bye. Anyways, see you next time.